The house had been abandoned for over 30 years, but everyone in town still whispered about it. The Burnell mansion wasn't just any old wreck, it was cursed. Or so the rumors said. Ethan, Jake, and Lisa stood at the gate, the moonlight barely piercing through the thick fog. "Are you sure about this?" Lisa asked, clutching her phone tightly. Jake grinned. "It's just a house. What's the worst that could happen?" Ethan didn't say anything, but he felt the chill in the air. Something wasn't right. Still, they pushed open the rusty gate, its screech cutting through the silence, and walked up the cracked steps. The moment they entered, the door slammed shut behind them. "Classic horror movie move," Jake joked, but his laugh sounded forced. Inside, the house was dark, with peeling wallpaper and furniture covered in dusty sheets. The air smelled of rot and something metallic. They split up, because of course they did. Ethan went to check the kitchen, Lisa headed upstairs, and Jake stayed in the main hall, filming everything on his phone. It started small, a distant sound, like faint footsteps. Ethan thought it was Jake messing around. But when he called out, no one answered. In the hallway, Jake's phone started glitching. The screen flickered, showing brief static before cutting to black. He cursed under his breath, but then froze. A sound came from the corner of the room. A low, dragging noise. "Lisa? Ethan? This ain't funny," he called out. From the shadows, something moved, a figure, hunched and slow. As it stepped into the dim moonlight filtering through a broken window, Jake's breath caught in his throat. It was a clown. Its face was jet black, like soot, with eyes that burned a fiery red. The mouth stretched into an unnatural grin, its teeth yellow and sharp. In its hand, it held a massive hammer, the head of it stained dark with something Jake didn't want to think about. "Guys!" Jake whispered, backing away. The clown tilted its head, almost curiously, before slamming the hammer into the floor. The sound echoed like a gunshot, and then the lights in the house flickered. Upstairs, Lisa heard the noise and froze. The air felt heavy, pressing against her chest. She tried to call Jake, but her phone had no signal. The faint sound of laughter reached her ears, soft at first, then louder, closer. A shadow passed by the doorway, and she turned to see it, the clown, staring at her. Lisa screamed and ran, but every door she tried was locked. The hallway seemed to stretch endlessly, the wallpaper twisting and warping like it was alive. Ethan found himself in the kitchen, staring at a mirror that wasn't there before. His reflection was distorted, with empty eyes and a mouth that moved even when he didn't. Suddenly, the clown appeared in the reflection behind him, raising the hammer. He spun around, but there was nothing there. The laughter grew louder, surrounding him, as the walls began to close in. Back in the hall, Jake tried to make it to the front door, but it wasn't where it had been. Instead, the house had changed, the layout twisting into a maze. The clown was everywhere, behind him, in front of him, in the mirrors that lined the walls. "Stay together." "Where are you guys?" he shouted, but his voice only echoed back to him. One by one, the friends were cornered. The clown didn't just kill, it played with them, appearing and disappearing, dragging its hammer along the floors to let them know it was coming. Ethan was the first to go, pulled into the darkness with a final, blood-curdling scream. Lisa managed to hide for a while, but the clown found her, grinning as it raised the hammer. Her last words were a whispered plea, "Why?" Jake was left alone, running through the endless maze of the house. He found a room filled with old, rotting clown costumes and posters of a circus long gone. On one of the posters, he saw the clown, its name was Smiley. Below the name was a date, the same night the house burned down 30 years ago. Jake realized too late that the clown wasn't just a ghost, it was the house itself, feeding off their fear. The last thing he saw was the hammer coming down.